Hi.
Hola.
Hi, hier ist Mr. Döse.
This is Michael Bradley.
Hey, I'm Memphis.
Hey.
Hola. Hello.
I'm here with soccer.com.
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 And I'm talking with my friends soccer.com.
See you soon.
Hey guys, Josh from soccerreviewsforyou.com, bringing you my first impressions plus on-feet video of the brand new Adidas Messi 16.1 in the Mercury pack colorway. Now included with the shoes, you do get a couple of extras. The first thing that you get is an extra set of comfort insoles to go along with the lightweight ones already inside the shoes. The comfort insoles feature a soft synthetic suede lining material, and they're made from a slightly thicker, more solid piece of foam in comparison to the lightweight ones already in the shoes. This is something we haven't seen at the $200 price point from Adidas since about 2013, so it is nice that they are finally including that extra set of insoles. You also get a string bag with the shoes, black perforated mesh, black strings, and then of course the Adidas and Messi logos there on the front. And then of course you get the shoes themselves, which are actually very, very interesting. This is the alternate top-end model in the new Messi 16 lineup. I would say a more true replacement for the Messi 15.1, although it's a fair bit different from that particular shoe, both visually as well as in terms of how it fits and feels on feet. But again, I think a lot of people would look at all the new Adidas lines and assume that the $300 price point models are the top end ones. These are takedowns. This is not a takedown model. It retails for $200 US, so $100 less than the 16 Plus Pure Agility, which I did make a review on. If you missed it and you want to learn more about that shoe, I'll leave an annotation on screen. But like I said, it's just an alternate top-end model on offer from Adidas, which is actually pretty exciting because it has a lot going for it. And depending on your own personal preferences, you may actually prefer the $200 price point over the $300 price point. Again, it really just depends on what you want. So if you want to learn more about the 16.1 model, we're going to go over all the tech specs and performance features in this video, talk about the weight, as well as take a look at how these things fit and feel on feet. So if you want to learn everything there is to know about this particular shoe, stick around, watch the entire video. If you're interested in a pair of these for yourself, be sure to check out the review page on my website. That'll be the very first link down below in the description of this video. On that page, you'll find Buy It Now links with exclusive SR4U coupon codes where you'll be able to pick these up below their normal $200 retail price. So again, if you're interested in a pair, first link down below, go ahead and check it out. And with that being said, let's get right into the review. To start things off, let's go over all the tech specs and performance features of the new Messi 16.1. Now, just like the $300 16 Plus Pure Agility, this does feature the Agility Net Upper, but in a more pure form. And what I mean by that is you don't have the Tech Fit system, so you're sitting directly against that Agility Knit Upper, so there's just less interruptions. It's a more simple way of making a soccer shoe, if you will, that isn't necessarily better or worse than the 16 Plus variation, just something that's a little bit different, more traditional, if you will. So the actual material itself, you can very clearly see what it is. It's a mesh-based synthetic material, and it's a very flat, kind of open mesh, super, super thin. You can see some of the exposed mesh here at the top. It's not even like tightly knit, so there's no gaps. You can actually see right through it. Kind of hard to see, but there are actually gaps within the knitted material itself. And on the top layer, you have some polyurethane. On the inside layer, you have some polyurethane. And on this particular shoe, because it doesn't have the Tech Fit system reinforcing the midfoot, it actually uses just a synthetic suede lining material that is very, very thin, but super soft. Feels very comfortable against your foot and doesn't take away from the softness and flexibility of this shoe. Now, like I talked about in the 16 Plus Pure Agility video, this is kind of a similar concept to the first generation Nike skin found on the Phantom 1, and then obviously the newer variations of the Phantom 2 and Finish models. But the actual feel is quite different. This doesn't have the same kind of variation in thickness that you're going to find on that particular shoe from Nike. This is kind of thinner all the way through, very, very slight amount of padding, but for the most part, going to provide more of a barefoot feel. And out of all the top-end models from Adidas at the moment, the thinnest shoe currently on offer. So what's kind of a little bit interesting about this upper is where they place the seams. You have a seam on basically a 45-degree angle right here on the lateral side, which isn't a big deal, but there's a seam right here on the medial side, which is something they've done a lot on their new models, which I just thought was kind of an unusual place. You don't really feel it when you're wearing the shoes, but it doesn't look the best, especially in a $200 price point soccer cleat. Then, of course, you have the lacing system, which is one of the more interesting aspects of this shoe as well. The laces are slightly off-centered, pushed a little bit to the outside edge of the shoe, but not by very much. And then it has a burrito style tongue. So basically this side of the upper just continues over across the top of the foot and then tucks in where the upper is obviously split on the lateral side. So this is something that we've seen before, not necessarily from Adidas, but from Nike many times with the T90 line. We've seen it very recently in the form of the original New Balance Furon. The Mizuno Basara 101 also currently has a burrito style tongue. So it's not something that Adidas is kind of reinventing the wheel with here. But I will say that burrito style tongues can often not be the best thing, but this actually feels pretty good. It wraps your foot pretty nicely. And I think that's just because of the softness and flexibility that you get from this agility knit material. It pretty much forms to the shape of your foot, and there really isn't any issues with this particular design. So basically you have a standard single lace hole system here on the lateral side, and then a dual lace hole system here on the medial side for this burrito style tongue to actually work. But what's interesting is how it is prevented from opening up, which I'm not sure why they did it. It's not entirely necessary in my opinion, but nonetheless, here is the left shoe where you can actually see I removed some of the laces so you can see it a little bit more easily. But on the inside, you're gonna find that the tongue itself is actually secured. So if I open it up right here, you can see that there are two ways of securing this tongue. You have an elastic strap that is basically this wide, or let's say, it runs from about here to here on the inside of the shoe. You can see it there. It's hard to see because of the lighting, but it is in fact there. You can see the strap. It's right there, and that's what's holding the tongue down from going up, basically. And then there's a kind of microfiber suede strap that runs from here to here along the top, or right over top of the actual elasticated strap, that prevents the tongue from moving this way. You guys can actually see it restricting the tongue when I pull it this way, or restricting that strap, which you can see a little bit more easily from this angle. So the actual thing itself, the fold over piece, is not going to move around on you when you're wearing the shoe, which I think is the main reason why they put the little fastening system in there. It does make it a little bit more difficult to put on, but once they're on your feet, it is nice that the tongue itself does not move around, or the top of the shoe doesn't move around, which, like I said, can often be a little bit of an issue with these burrito style tongues, especially when you have such a soft material. But it actually works pretty well. It fits nicely. You don't have any overlapping materials, which I think is one of the benefits of this style of upper, just because you have kind of the same piece of material flowing all the way across the top of your foot, giving it a more seamless sensation without the upper actually being one piece. And again, it's a pretty cool system that works quite well, and it's nice that you get the entire upper made from the exact same synthetic material. That's probably one of my favorite features of the Messi 16.1, and the synthetic itself just feels really, really nice. Now, moving on to the back of the shoe, you do have an internal heel counter, as you find on the Pure Agility model, the 16 Plus, I should say. It has a standard cut as well. It doesn't have the S-curve or anything like that. It's got a super, super soft synthetic suede lining material that I like a lot. It's super nice. Then you have a removable insole, mesh liner on top, perforations throughout, single layer of this blue foam, nothing too fancy. They do include that extra set as well, so if you want something perhaps a little bit more substantial as far as underfoot cushioning is concerned, you do have that option, which is nice. And then of course you have the sprint frame, which is exactly like what you're going to find on the 16 Plus Pure Agility, just without that mirrored chrome finish, which I definitely would argue does not look quite as good. This is a color that's not going to wear off though. It's a sprint frame in that the material itself is entirely one piece of plastic, which is going to significantly reduce the weight of the shoe. The overall design, though, is actually pretty similar to what we found on the Messi 15.1, just without the dual layer system. And then, of course, the stud pattern and stud layout is a complete carryover from the Messi 15.1, and pretty much the same layout you're going to find from all the current models from Adidas. You have 6 studs in the forefoot, 1 support stud in the middle, and then 4 bladed heel studs as well. The Messi variation, as you can see, has triangular shaped studs, but with rounded tips at the very front and back of the shoe, and then the rest of the studs are triangular in shape, but have a very kind of tapered profile, so they're very narrow at the very face. So when you step into the ground, it digs in a little bit more easily just because of the smaller shaped stud at the tip. But for the most part, the grip isn't honestly all that different from any of the other variations on offer from Adidas. It's also an FG-AG stud pattern, so it is suitable for use on firm natural grass as well as artificial grass. But keep in mind that this is definitely more of a firm ground stud pattern. So if you do use it on artificial grass, it doesn't necessarily have the sensation and performance characteristics of a true AG stud pattern, perhaps like what you would find from an AG Nike stud pattern. So again, worth noting, but if you do only want to buy one pair of shoes and you play on both natural and artificial playing surfaces, all of the current Adidas models, like I said, do have FG AG stud patterns. So that's pretty much it as far as what the Messi 16.1 is all about. It's a more simple variation of what you get from the 16 Plus Pure Agility, not necessarily better or worse, just something that's a little bit different. When it comes to weight, I thought we'd compare the $200 Messi 16.1 to the $300 Messi 16 Plus Pure Agility to see if there's any significant weight difference between the two given their design differences. So I'm going to be weighing both shoes for you today in real time using this scale. Keep in mind these are both in brand new condition and both the exact same size 9 US, so this is a very fair comparison. We'll start off with the $300 Pure Agility, throw it on the scale, and you can see that they weigh in at 7.1 ounces, the equivalent of 202 grams. So remember those numbers. We'll change the scale back to ounces, pull these off, and we'll throw on the Messi 16.1, and you can see that they weigh in at 7.1 ounces, the equivalent of 202 grams. So they are exactly the same weight, not a difference at all, not even a single gram. So if you are trying to decide between these two shoes, obviously there's $100 that you have to consider, but weight should not be a consideration whatsoever. It should really be all about the fit and feel that you're looking for, because in that regard, they are fairly different shoes. When it comes to the look of the Messi 16.1, obviously it does share similar design cues to that of the 16 Plus model. It doesn't have the lace cover though, it doesn't have the Tech Fit extended collar piece. So for the lack of a better term, it does have more of a normal look, I suppose. You have the Adidas stripes on the lateral side, the orange Adidas logo on the heel, the Messi branding on the medial side, and that's about it as far as what you can see on the actual upper. The upper itself, being part of the Mercury pack, which is the launch colorway, features a metallic silver over top of the blue mesh base. That gives the shoe a very unique look, very futuristic. I know not everyone's a fan of the kind of metallic silver shoe thing, but I personally don't mind it, and I'm really not into flashy shoes. But again, everyone has their own personal preference. The laces they include are kind of like a gray color with a sparkly silver kind of ribbon running through it, which is kind of a cool little lace. You have the blue heel liner, the blue insole that you guys saw, and then of course the outsole is kind of a silver color with translucent blue studs. Again, some of the online retailers will show this shoe with completely clear studs. Those are pre-production sample variations of the shoe, and should you order a pair of these for yourself, regardless of what is pictured, the pair that you will receive is the production variation that I'm showing you in this video that will have translucent blue studs, so keep that in mind. And unlike the 16 Plus model that, like I mentioned earlier in the video, does have the chrome finish, this is a color that isn't going to wear away. That's just the color of the plastic. So you don't have to worry about any color wearing off on the actual sole plate. But personally, I don't mind how these look. I actually like the combination of the silver, blue, and black, but let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. Do you like how these look? Why or why not? And with that being said, let's move on to the on-feet portion of the video so we can get a better idea as to how these shoes fit and of course what the sizing is like. All right, so here is a look at the Messi 16.1s on feet. On my left foot, I have the stock gray laces that come with the shoes, and on my right foot, I have a pair of black reflective SR4U replacement laces. If you're interested in a pair of replacement laces for yourself, the website to go to is www.sr4ulaces.com. Find a direct link to that website down below in the description of this video. Now, in terms of how these things fit and feel on feet, they are very, very comfortable. I'm actually kind of surprised. The burrito style tongue, like I mentioned earlier, is one of those things that can be a little bit difficult to get a kind of comfortable, proper fit out of, but it works quite well with this particular shoe. With that said, the fastening system that they have on the lateral side that I showed you earlier in the video makes it very, very difficult to get your foot in the shoe. It's a little bit of a pain, surprisingly so, but once your foot is in there, it's very comfortable and it has a nice tight wrap. You can see that there's no overlapping materials, there's no creasing in the tongue, and they fit really, really well. The Agility knit upper feels super soft. It really does have that kind of sock-like sensation on your foot, for lack of a better term. It's flexible, it feels really comfortable, and the break-in time with this shoe, I can tell, is going to be very, very minimal. It's got good flexibility to it, and they just feel pretty good from right out of the box. Nothing really to complain about. Has a standard low-cut heel. Heel liner feels very good, no issues with heel slippage, and again, they just fit really nicely. As far as width is concerned, it is a tighter fitting shoe, but still not super narrow. It definitely does have a little bit more width, especially through the midfoot in comparison to the 16 Plus Pure Agility model, so keep that in mind. These are a touch wider, but still not a super wide shoe. If you have really wide feet, probably not the best option, but as long as you don't mind a tighter fit, I think these will fit most people. And as far as sizing is concerned, I'm wearing my usual size 9 US here, and the fit and length is absolutely perfect. So if you are looking to order a pair of these for yourself, I would strongly recommend going true to size in order to achieve the best possible fit. Alright guys, that is it for my first impressions of the Adidas Messi 16.1. Expect to see more follow-up content on this shoe, as well as the rest of the new Adidas models very shortly on the channel. If you're interested in a pair of these for yourself, be sure to check out the review page on my website. That'll be the very first link down below in the description of this video. On that page, you'll find the high quality images of this exact pair. That'll give you a better idea as to how they actually do look in person, as well as buy it now links with exclusive SR4U coupon codes where you'll be able to pick these guys up below their normal $200 retail price. So again, if you're interested in a pair, first link down below, go ahead and check it out. If you have any questions at all regarding this shoe, leave them down below in the comments and I definitely will get an answer out to you. If you enjoyed today's video, found it helpful and informative, be sure to support it with a like. Subscribe if you haven't already for daily videos on all the latest and greatest soccer gear. You can find all my social media information linked in the description as well. And other than that, guys, hope you enjoyed today's video. And as always, thanks for watching.